Well, good evening, and thanks for joining us here on Speed Racing Network. I'm Greg Olenek, joined by Brandon Domain, as always. And Brandon, it has been a tense week, to say the least. Round 1, race 1 here in the Season 4 playoffs here in Speed Racing Network. And boy, do these guys have a handful tonight. We are at the Charlotte Roval here in Concord, North Carolina, 17 turns and 100 miles. It's going to be a long night for a lot of these guys here tonight.
It's going to be a long night. It's going to be a big challenge. But hey, the good news for everybody that might not like a road course that are in the playoffs, this is the only one you got the rest of the way in this season. So you're getting it out of the way before we get into this week off. But yeah, big challenge awaits everybody as the Silverback Tag Series, they get their one road course here in the playoff. The other two, the trucks, the Cup Series, they get that when we come back from the break after next week.
Yeah, we've been on both sides of the cut line here this week. Brandon, you were trying to get above that top 10 to move on into the second round. And, well, I got to experience what it was like to try to be a lucky dog. Very tense in both situations, and we got quite a few guys trying to get that playoff lucky dog here tonight. We'll take a look at that in just a second, but if you guys need a refresher, let's bring up our champion of the regular season, Jacob Manning there out of Katy, Texas. He's looking to go ahead and move on to the round of 10 here pretty easily, hopefully. He's got a pretty big cushion in that 50 car, but 1 win, 8 top 5s. But look at those laps led. Jacob has been dominant this year.
Yeah, he's one of the 3 guys that have led, if you count the Daytona duels, over 200 laps on the season. That he's also up there with Seth Reed and Austin Reedy are the other ones that have led that amount of laps here this season. And you look at these point standings at plus 39, not quite a full race above the cut line, but it definitely makes you feel pretty good with that kind of a buffer. I think once you get to Austin Reedy, and then really once you get to Kyle Benson on down, everybody got to be on their on the edge of their seat here in this one.
Yeah, it's kind of crazy how tight it is here in the Silverback Series, and just to see some of these names below that cut line. I mean, you got Cole Martin, Vincent Cortez, Logan Truitt, Logan Joyner, a champion here at Speed Racing Network, and Josh Siegfried. All these guys looking to improve upon their positions. And oh yeah, I mentioned it. There you see it in yellow. We are going to crown a playoff lucky dog here tonight. And speaking of which, these are the drivers that are eligible here. And Brandon, I think it goes without saying there's one name that sticks out to us here.
Yeah, and that would be Adrian Schumacher. It's a fitting name for a road course, and he's been the second best this season, only behind his teammate Joshua Valiette, who's gone 2 for 2 on the road courses. Adrian Schumacher a second and a third on the road courses this season. But for a little bit of hope for everybody, this track, easy to make mistakes. One mistake on this racetrack could end your night. And he's also had some connection issues lately too. I hate to bring that up, but that has been a factor in these races. And so everybody else on this list, I know it seems like a long shot, but you got a chance here as long as you're out there and keeping that car clean tonight.
Absolutely. So that's a look at our lucky dog eligible drivers here tonight. Let's go ahead and show you the Week 13 results out of the Team Series. The standings here in the Xfinity standings, not solidified whatsoever just yet. But there you see Tank Racing getting the win over Highline, 94-68. JW edging out JBR. That was a great matchup last week, 114-99. Murray Reedy Motorsports getting the win over Blackout. And there you see Phoenix getting the bye last week. So that is a win for them. So let's check out those team standings with under a minute left to go here in qualifying. JW still at the top of the board, but by such a slim margin there. Tank Racing just behind them. Phoenix still in it there in third at 8-5, and Murray Reedy Motorsports also, but then about 5th on down. These guys are going to have a tough time getting in those top 2 positions.
Very difficult, especially with 4 races left, though. As we're going to take a look at this week's races here, we can kind of say that there's some opportunity to make up a little bit of ground here. So JBR, we saw how tough they fought last week against JW Racing. They're going up against Tank. Now, Tank does have Valiette and Schumacher, the 2 best road course drivers this season, but anything can happen there. PVR has a chance to close that gap on JW Racing. That's going to be the marquee matchup of the week. And then Murray Reedy Motorsports, they get that bye, so they're out automatically going to be moving to 8-5-1.
Yeah, so we'll keep an eye on those all night long here, but it's starting to look like we're getting some guys gritting up out there here for the Charlotte Roval 100. But, you know, before we go out there on the track, I have got to bring up our sponsors here. Got to thank Butt Kicker, as always, for coming on board here this season. Can't thank them enough. They've been with us for probably since the creation of Speed Racing Network, and it's just a great partnership to have with those guys over there. So please go check them out at buttkicker.com. A lot of great items if you are probably into sim racing, which you probably are if you're watching this stream here tonight. And also, got to give a quick shout out to TJ's Team Foundation. Can't thank them enough. Such a great foundation that helps families battling pediatric cancer. So if you have anything that you can possibly donate, please head over to morethanAcape.org. It would be certainly appreciated for all those families. So let's waste no more time, Brandon, and get on out there. There you see the beautiful track here in Concord, North Carolina. 17 windy turns around Charlotte Motor Speedway. And I'm not going to lie, Brandon, I've been covering the winter heats here lately in the Legends Tour that they run at this track. I'm excited for some Roval action.
It's always a fun one. It's a nightmare for a lot of drivers because it's a very difficult track, but it's always a fun time to watch a race out here in Charlotte.
Yeah, I don't envy those guys whatsoever here tonight, but there's a look at the board here, and like we said, no surprise to see that man at the top, Adrian Schumacher with a time of 1 minute, 21 seconds. 0.679, and Austin Reedy about a half a second off his pace. That just shows you the blistering speed that 82 machine has. Jacob Manning and Daniel Bowdler, you kind of gave me a little bit of trivia here. He won the first ever Xfinity Series race in SRN at the Charlotte Roval, so he is a contender here tonight as well.
Yeah, the first and the only one thus far up until tonight for the Xfinity cars here in SRN. But row number 3 will be Kyle Benson starting in position number 5 with Joshua Balliet, 2 for 2 on the season at the road courses, Watkins Glen and Montreal. This one a very different one, but see how he can maybe get that season sweep at the road courses. He'll be starting in position number 6. Jovi Ray will be starting in 7th with Max Service starting on the outside of row number 4.
All right, Vincent Cortez, Josh Susi. That's going to round out our top 10 there in row 5. Logan Truitt and Cole Martin in row 6. Taking a look further on down the field as they've got a little bit of time here. Jackson Wade, Logan Joyner there in row 7. Both those guys going to be trying to maybe move up some spots here. Devin Zimmerman, Craig Lautenslager in row 8.
In row number 9, it'll be Seth Reed, number 2 in the standings coming into this race, but starting 17th on the night. Josh Marcy will be in position number 18. Nathan De La Rosa and Michael Larch will round out the top 20 starters.
Yeah, so watching the guys come on out here onto the NASCAR oval is what they like to call it, and this is one of the more treacherous turns here at the Roval, but man, we got a big field here. 30 cars, 30 drivers trying to go for that top spot here. Man, it's going to be tough sledding with that 82 out in front. So, Brandon, I think we're both going to probably not take the low-hanging fruit here when we make our picks. Who you got here tonight?
All right, so I'm not going to take Schumacher and I'm not going to take Balliet. They've been far and away the best ones all season long. There's one that's starting a little bit farther back, and I'm curious about this one, but I'm looking at Josh Stussy in the 53 car. He's been the 3rd best driver on road courses this season, averaging a 5th place finish. Got a pretty solid starting spot, and he's just one of those patient drivers. I think this one bodes well for him.
All right, Josh Susi going to be the pick for you. I'm going to go up a little bit further here, and I'm going to take that season, or that first and only winner here at the Roval, and take Daniel Bowdler starting P number 4. I think he gets it done in that number 6 Silverback machine here tonight. So looking like the guys are coming back around here, turns 3 and 4 on the NASCAR oval. They're going to shoot right through that final chicane, and that Porsche safety car is going to pull down pit road, and we're going to get these 45 laps underway.
Porsche safety car kind of juking the field there a little bit before diving down pit road.
Yeah, they're going to run right through these cones. Don't mind them. They're just going to put those right back. But that's going to bring us to the Geico restart zone, and we're going to see that Silverback Tax Solutions green flag waving here at the Roval.
We saw one go off track into the infield. That's actually going to be Logan Truitt in the 65 car. So one of the drivers that's right behind that cut line by just 1 point is going to fall all the way back to last place here as we work through lap number 1.
Yeah, so coming through turn number 4 here, a really tricky turn. You can lose the car easily, a really fast turn number 5, setting yourself up for a wide entry into turn number 6. And I just learned this recently, Brandon. They call this Redneck Hill, where they go downhill to turn number 7. When I called the race a few weeks ago at Charlotte Motor Speedway, I learned that little tidbit, and I got a little chuckle just like you did. But the guys get through that inner loop here at Charlotte Motor Speedway, and Adrian Schumacher already out to about 3 or 4 tenths of a second lead.
Yeah, he is, and this is kind of one of those turns where I think he really makes a difference here on this racetrack. Just this bus stop going through here. This is turn 10, 11, 12, and 13 as they work their way through. And you can see that
Cole
actually.
Martin.
Oh, Cole Martin turned around, and we're wrecking Evan Zimmerman. 52 of Michael Larch, another one of the playoff drivers involved here. Excuse me, he's in the playoff truck series.
Oh, man, big-time damage for Larch as well. So the 52 going to get back on track, and he is going to be mired all the way in the back of the pack, and a few others still trying to get back on track too. Susie going slow. Might have had a little bit of a cut there through the track, and they will give you a black flag when that happens, and you got to kind of give up a certain amount of time, so that's probably why 53 going slow there.
And saw another little bit there with Cole Martin, another slide through there, and I believe that was at the 47 of Cody Neal as they came out of that final chicane. So all kinds of issues out here on this opening lap, and that's kind of expected at this racetrack, honestly. It takes a couple laps to kind of gap the field apart a little bit, and with all these tight braking zones, all these chicanes there, especially that bus stop, that final chicane, everybody has a different way they want to approach it, and it's hard to read sometimes. Oh, that was a hard slap into that wall. Big
time damage there. And Joyner, like we said, one of those drivers starting off behind the cut line, and he is going to have a heavy amount of damage there after that hit. And that is one of the trickiest turns because you try to set yourself up for that wide entry going back onto the oval there, and it is very easy to slap that wall just like he did.
Absolutely, and unlike, I know a lot of sim racers got experience with the Daytona road course recently with the Daytona 24. Unlike Daytona, one thing that happens here, there's a lot of undulation in that infield portion of the racetrack. Daytona very flat, Charlotte very hilly, and it's got a little bit of odd banking there too. Not too significant, but there's banking. And Cole Martin around again. Yeah. That's the third time he's been turned around here on this opening lap. Yeah. To kind of finish that thought as we get back to the infield with the race leaders, a lot of undulation. It messes with the handling of the car. You start going downhill, uphill, back downhill. You can kind of see it on this roof cam. There's just zero comfort on this racetrack because no turn really feels the same to any other turn on this racetrack.
It's kind of ridiculous how loose this track is. It almost feels like you shouldn't be racing these cars here, but I think that's part of the challenge when you come here to the Roval. It's a lot of patience being practiced, which is something you don't really see a lot here at Speed Racing Network, but you're going to have to see it here tonight because that's the only way you're going to get to the end of this thing.
Yeah, and that's something that, talking to some teammates and things like that, it's, I'm not as fast as this guy. I don't think you need to be. Like, if you're trying to get into the top 10 or anything like that, you don't necessarily need to be as fast as a Schumacher, a Reedy, or a Manning. You just got to have the patience in this race to keep that car clean, because what we saw the last time we were here, 2 drivers had a 0x incident count at the end of that race. One was Daniel Bowdler, the race winner. The other was Joseph DuPont, who finished 3rd in that race. Everybody else had an incident at some point on the racetrack. Keep that car clean. You'll get a good finish.
Taking a look, seeing Nick Halda having some trouble back here now, too. A tough start for a few of these JW guys, and Nick is just having a tough time getting turned around, waiting for everybody to go on by. And, talking to Nick as much as I do as he's up here in the booth, I can tell you he was not excited for this race.
I kind of got the vibe that there weren't many, and that number kind of grew as Adrian Schumacher missed the playoffs on points. And you just look at the prowess that he has on the road courses, kind of put that kind of doubt in a whole lot of people, on top of the fact that there's not many guys that are super confident on the road courses. And I think a lot of them are better than they think they are, but they look at some of the guys like we're seeing out here in this top 4 that are really starting to pull away. I think they kind of see that and compare to that, but I think there's a lot of guys that are doing just fine, but they get in their head about it just a little bit because it's a different discipline than a lot of guys are used to.
Yeah, so we'll take a ride on board here of Adrian Schumacher. He's the ace here on road courses, and right now I think he's just taking a real patient approach because we talked about it, like you said, obviously Schumacher the favorite here tonight to get that playoff lucky dog, but we keep mentioning how easy it is to lose it here. We've seen a few people do it already. I mean, Cole Martin He's one of the better drivers here in the Silverback Series. He's spun it around 3 times already. It can happen at any time, and especially once Adrian starts lapping these cars that are a little bit further on back. I mean, a lot of these guys were 4 seconds off the qualifying time, so it's only going to take us a little bit of time for him to catch up to these guys.
Yeah, and keep in mind, no caution to save anybody either, and that's been kind of told to everybody out there. If you're about ready to go a lap down, you're off the pace compared to the leader, then definitely give that space. There's no lucky dog that's going to be available within the race to get your lap back because there's no cautions in this race. But yeah, as we work our way through, and that's something I mentioned, that blinking issue, the connection problems there. And that's starting to rear its head, it looks like, on that 82 car. He needs to pull away from this field to try to get away from that and maybe get to the point where if he starts blinking, there's not going to be any attention placed there.
If I'm Austin Reedy, I'm yelling to the admins, he's bothering me. He's affecting my line.
You know what? If I'm Jackson Wade, Devin Zimmerman, I'm seeing it even though I'm in the infield still and he's on the NASCAR oval. I'm saying he's blinking. I know he's blinking.
Well, we'll see if it clears up for him. Trying to check on some of the other battles here. Seth Reed up 6 spots in that 51. Impressive, considering I don't really think Seth Reed fancies the road courses too much. But that just goes to show the talent in that 51 machine. Seth Reed trying to go back to the final round of the playoffs here to try to claim a championship here in the Silverback Series. And right now, right on the bumper of Logan Joyner.
And, you know, I think this track kind of works better for him than some of the other road courses because as we got the 66 and Nathan De La Rosa, he's parking it to meet the time penalty there. You cut through that bus stop, that's about a 5-second time penalty, so just easier to stop at that point in the track. But going back to Seth Reed, I think this one kind of fits him a little bit better than some of the other road courses because he's more of the patient, kind of flowy driver out there. And this one, I think, is a lot more about the patience and not really just being super aggressive, throwing the car around like you can do at a Watkins Glen or even to an extent Montreal. I think this one fits him better. So this one, not too surprising to see him having a pretty solid start here in the opening laps.
Ooh, Seth Reed, like I said, very easy to get into the wall right there, and he does just that, coming back out onto the NASCAR oval. We'll see that a few times here tonight.
Yeah, sorry, Seth. I'll take the blame on that one.
These leaders still pretty tight here. Austin Reedy really trying to defend that 50. Jacob Manning really wants to get by that 96, but Reedy not having any of it whatsoever. It's kind of funny. I'm starting to notice Seth Reed moving up, Joby Ray moving up. Could we have another Reedy Reed Ray moment here in week 14? We'll have to find out, but quickly already to lap number 7. So great battles here and great battles elsewhere on the track. Let's go ahead and find some of these battles. Cody Neal here in the 47 machine. He's already up 6 spots, looking like he is feeling pretty fast with heavy damage to the front end of that 47. Not going to feel the effects of that too much here, but still might affect the handling a tiny bit. Might make that 47 a little tight.
Yeah, definitely around the NASCAR portion of the oval also, just where it's higher speed. You might not get that drive, might make it a little aero tight with where that is on the nose too, so that's going to be interesting. Ooh, side by side into turn number 2. Ooh. That's the tough spot right there because it's really awkward with the way that elevation changes on you. So a good job by both Little and Neal. And how about Logan Truitt? He fell all the way back to last in turn number 1. He's worked his way all the way back up to 18th as he gets side by side with Jeremy Little.
Yeah, he knows he's got some work to do. He's one of the lowest running playoff drivers you see there, highlighted in green. Got to give Sean Griffith a shout out because he helped me with that. You know, I always say I'm the master now, but he still teaches me a few things here and there.
It's one of those teaches everything, you know, but not everything. One of those kind of things. Or?
Yeah. Yep, exactly. Right now, oof, Reedy gets a real bad entry. So does Jacob Manning.
That's great job by Manning to save it, though. He could have easily gotten into that wall on the front straightaway. Did a great job backing out of it. He's going to lose a lot of time, but he doesn't get into the wall.
So Manning settles back in here in third. Don't take your eyes off of Joshua Balliet, too. He won earlier in the season out at Montreal. He got that win sticker there on his name rail next to his name from that race up above the border, and he looked really fast. He outran his teammate there, Adrian Schumacher. So I know Adrian still got that in the back of his mind. Probably knows that Josh is going to be some competition here, his Tank Racing teammate.
Well, yeah, I mean, in 2 road course races this season, you can't beat an average finish of 1. So Montreal, Watkins Glen, it's been Josh Balliet all season long in these road courses, and that's a little bit of an upset, honestly, because we look at Adrian Schumacher as the ace on the road courses, but when it comes to these Xfinity cars, Balliet's had his number this season.
Yeah, and he's starting to run them down a little bit as well. He's catching up ever so slightly to that 50 machine now. Catching them's one thing, passing them is another. Got to pick your points here at the Roval, and it's kind of hard to do that sometimes. So we'll keep an eye on the progress of Joshua Balliet, but so far Schumacher starting to put the heat on these guys out to a 1.6 second lead.
Yeah, he's just consistently still running in the 122 range for Schumacher, which that's about faster than almost everybody in the field qualified. In fact, he's just now dipping into the 123s, actually. But he's still, that lap in a race pace for him would still put him inside the top 10 in qualifying. He's absolutely just blistering this thing, and part of that might be that he feels that 7 starting to kind of ramp up the times just a little bit, and he's thinking, all right, time to go. But you can see it on that pylon, that 3.5 suddenly down to 3.2, 3.3 for Balliet, and a little bit of a bad turn there. I need to stop calling positive things on some people here, but Balliet kind of is starting to reel him in just that little bit here and there.
Yeah, so you can see Balliet not far off the pace there, much quicker there on lap 6, but Balliet definitely here in contention. We'll see. He's got plenty of time to catch up here to the 82. Coming back to the stripe here after a few more turns, we're going to be at the lap 10, just like that, no cautions. This race is going to fly by, so these guys cannot waste any time whatsoever. So, Brandon, I got to ask you, do you know whether or not this is a one-stop race here tonight, or are they going to have to make 2 stops?
Well, if you're keeping the car clean and you're not going to have any issues there where you got to fix any damage, one-stop race. You can go about 25 laps out here for these guys, which will give you a little bit of flexibility as well on when you're going to make that pit stop. So we could see him starting around lap 20, 21, and yeah, that should be making you nervous there if you're Adrian Schumacher or a fan of his. So he's opening up a pretty big lead. We got Jonathan Byer into the wall. This is at the bus stop here, the midway point, so that tells me maybe clipped the turtle there, or just got in a little too hot, couldn't collect that thing to get that thing snapped back towards the right. But yeah, so one-stop race. They'll go about 25 laps on fuel. Now, if you got damage, you might turn this into a 2-stopper and just get a little comfortable on some fresher tires, clean up that car a little bit.
Yeah, that was a tough approach there for the 47, tough angle, and he loses a spot to Jeremy Little. He's got to be careful not to overdrive it there going into turn number 1, but kind of want to point out something that I'm seeing, and it's always kind of interesting to point out. Going into that chicane, coming back to the start-finish line, you can kind of use up a little bit of extra track and use that grass a little bit.
Yeah, it's one of the quirks here at Charlotte is that they don't use grass, they use turf. And if you're a fan of the real-life Cup Series, you kind of saw that with Chris Buescher, where he kind of slid on that turf and caught that pothole, and just popped that car up in the air. But this turf, it doesn't grip like the grass does, or doesn't slide you like the grass does. With the iRacing physics, you can kind of run on it and get some speed. So these guys dipping those tires into the left tires into that, get them a little bit better of an angle there.
Well, my broadcaster curse in full effect here tonight. Badler getting some damage and having to serve a time penalty there. He is down 5 positions back in P number 9, so he's going to look to maybe make up some ground here. But back to your point there about the flips. I've only seen 2 flips in my life, Brandon, and I have to say the Chris Buescher one. I saw Joey Logano at Dover. That was very surprising because cars don't typically flip at Dover.
Yeah.
But that Chris Buescher flip was rather impressive. Now that he's okay, but that was pretty awesome.
I mean, you've seen 2 of the most random flips in NASCAR history, honestly, with Logano at Dover and Buescher at Charlotte in the 600 this past season. But hopefully all 4 tires stay on
that.
Yeah, hopefully all 4 tires stay for this race. For both these guys, as we got to close it in for third. This Jacob Manning in the 50, the regular season points champion. Josh Balliet, third in the regular season points at the end of all that. So they're sitting there pretty close. And Reedy with a little bit of a slow exit out of the bus stop. He's going to back up towards them. So second to fourth, all separated by about a second.
Yeah, this will be a good angle right here. Just look at them go off the track into the grass. Typically, that would pretty much makes feel like you're driving on ice if you're at any other track, but not here. Gives you a little bit more room to work with, and you can see Valiette using all that room. Manning looks really loose here. Might be heating up those tires a little bit too much. That car really yawed out there in the 50.
Yeah, that kind of tells me that he's really using up the rear tires here, which you can do pretty easily, but that tells me just being maybe the bias on the brakes there just kind of a little bit off, and he's really getting on those rear tires a little bit more, because that back end really sliding at this point. We're only halfway through the fuel run, so it's not going to be a weight issue. That car just looks real uncomfortable, but for some people it's the old adage, loose is fast, and,
wow.
and maybe that's what he's feeling, but that's big time loose.
Yeah, he's leaving tire marks coming back out on to the NASCAR oval here, but Reedy trying to defend that second position. He's got to start feeling that heat as these guys are right on his bumper coming to the bus stop back here on the backstretch.
And this is always the nervy spot when you feel not one but two cars closing in on you for position. It's real easy to overdrive it, as it just happened there for Austin Reedy. A little bit of an overdrive, sliding it now coming out of here, and these tires getting real worn on these guys. It looks like they're really burning them up a lot faster than I think they might have anticipated. Tight entry breaking into that path, but making it work. That was a lot of give and take there between those two.
Yeah, I think Jacob Manning owes Reedy a beer there or something. Well, I don't think Jacob Manning can buy a beer, but yeah, I think he owes him something, because Reedy definitely just let him in there. Thinking better of it, going too wide into that turn is a little bit dangerous. Reedy now looks really loose too. Three of these guys. Valiette looks most controlled, but all three of these guys battling some handling issues here on lap 13.
Yeah, and that chicane too is, we got Jonathan Byer turned around again in the bus stop. That's the second time here, but yeah, what we were talking about in that chicane too, it's not even so much too wide into the chicane, which is difficult. You can do it, but both have to be pretty perfect. But and just that line, he got in front of him right in the braking zone. That's a very uncomfortable spot for a lot of guys to be getting cleared in front of right there when you're already braking, and it just kind of throws you off that little bit. You can see that gap open up just a touch, and I think that's why Manning really wanted to get by. I think he feels like he's got some speed left in that 50 car and didn't want to waste anything behind that 96 any longer.
Yeah, and they're definitely losing a lot of time to Schumacher. Schumacher already out to 5 seconds. He's entering the chicane just now, going to the start-finish line. You can see him right there. That is a big gap to run back down to that 82 machine. So I can tell you probably that Joshua Balliette's patience running out a little bit here, as he's just not able to get by these two.
No, and worst comes to worst, in about 6 laps.
Wow.
Oh, wow, hello. In about 6 laps, he can undercut and get away from these two, but yeah, I don't think he's really got the patience that much to wait that long. He's going to get that inside line. Reedy real loose and almost turned it into the 7. Great job by both of them to kind of recognize what was going on and keep it off each other.
So back out front, Adrian Schumacher, he's going to be starting to approach some lap traffic there. That's Nick Halda just in front of him, running in the 28th position. And checking the scoring pylon, Brandon, I am surprised to see it, but Bowdler here on pit road, running P number 30.
Yeah, he called out a pit stop about 2 laps ago coming down on there, and we saw the issue that he had. We also saw, you can see all that damage on the right side. I'm wondering if he's got some suspension issues there, and just finally that car was starting to give out on him, and he just needed to make that stop.
Well, like I said, broadcaster curse in full effect here tonight. Josh Susie and Daniel Bowdler both experiencing a little bit of trouble here early on. Susie back there in 11th. Running down these two right here, Seth Reed and Logan Joyner just in front of him.
Yeah, and then for Susie, kind of running where he started. Seth Reed, one of the bigger movers through the field. He's +7 to move into that top 10. But I think for the most part, we're seeing guys kind of just running where they started this race. You've got Joyner up 5, Reed up 7. Biggest mover looks to be Josh Siegfried in 14th, up from 26th position. But really, for the most part, these guys just kind of staying where they were.
Yeah, so Josh Siegfried, you're exactly right. Started 26th. He's up to 14th right now. And made it playoffs for the first time in that 60 machine. He wants to make some noise here in the Silverback series, so having a good run so far here tonight. It's got a little bit of distance between him and Devin Zimmerman. The next car in front of him, he's got some 5 seconds to run that 93 machine down. So we'll keep an eye on Josh Siegfried's progress as the night rolls on. Going back to that battle, though, Logan Joyner, Seth Reed, and Josh Susie getting even tighter now. This is for 9th.
Ooh, little toe contact.
Logan Joyner not going to be able to save it.
No, I thought he was going to be able to, and it's not going to be too bad damage-wise, but he's going to lose a lot of time. That's going to be about 10, 12 seconds maybe.
It's back to
only
12.
going to be about 4 spots, but that's a pretty big time loss there on that contact.
Yeah, and that just gets you a little bit frustrated if you're in the cockpit here. A lot of pressure on these guys here in the first race. You don't want to start off in the hole here, and you might be doing just that with that little bit of spin. Cody Neal getting by Josh Siegfried now, so Cody Neal is up 10 spots, up to 14th.
And meanwhile, I was looking at that pylon and then moved my second screen over. I was watching Jacob Manning and Josh Balliette navigating some lap traffic, and they caught them going into the final chicane, going down towards turn number 1 at the Tums Heartburn turn there. And they caught them all at the wrong spot. And you see that gap. It was 5.2 last time by, already up near 7 seconds this time as they're still working through the infield. That's just catching people at the wrong point on the racetrack.
Yeah, and you can see on the track map that 82 is already about to the exit of turn 2, but you see him blinking there still. Adrian Schumacher is still having some connection issues. Got to be worried about the 82 here, who's trying to get that playoff lucky dog. Next in line to get it would be Jackson Wade, who's back in 11th.
Yeah, and that's an interesting thing. He's 30 seconds behind and probably has no idea that there's some blinking issues going on unless he's got somebody in his ear that's happening. And it's one of those things, like, you just got to keep in it, and you got to run that race out of that lucky dog battle just to try to keep up there. And you know, if anything does happen, if Adrian blinks out for so long that there's an issue, if he does make a mistake on the track and wrecks that car, all of a sudden Jackson Wade, he's got an 8-second lead on Devin Zimmerman, an 11-second lead on Cody Neal, though I don't think Cody's eligible. I'm not. He might be. He might have just gotten in, actually, in the race eligibility count. But, yeah, this is a pretty heavy lead for second in that lucky dog race.
Yeah, so a lot of green in the top 10, which probably isn't what a lot of these guys in the playoffs want to see. It's going to be hard to kind of separate yourself from the rest of your guys that you're contending to move on with here in that round of 10. So might see kind of a scratch here in this race if you kind of consider it that way, not being able to separate yourself from the rest of the pack with all that green.
Well, and I think what you're looking at, too, is you're really disappointed if you're a Daniel Bowdler or a Jeff Radke. Radke comes into this +1 on the cut line, Bowdler +5. They're the only two running outside of the top 20 right now, with Bowdler dead last, still in the pit. Radke sitting in 23rd place. He's about to go a lap down here pretty shortly. He's only about 12 seconds ahead of the race leader, Adrian Schumacher.
Oh, yeah, it is coming here before too long. Nathan De La Rosa having some more trouble here in the 66. Not a great night for Jonathan Byer Racing. Wow. Logan Schuertz in 17th, Byers in 24th, Jack Johnson 25th, De La Rosa 28th, and Josh Marcy 29th. So, man, they are not liking the Roval here when it comes to Jonathan Byer Racing.
No, and that just gives Tank Racing a little bit more confidence. I don't think they were going to be too worried about it with where they're running right now, with a 1st, a 3rd, and a 7th at the moment on the racetrack with Schumacher, Balliette, and Cortez. They also got Max Service sitting there in 8th place, so a strong run for Tank. That's to be expected when it comes to these road courses especially.
Go ahead, check here in 5th. Jovi Ray just having a quiet night here, P number 5 in that 24 machine. Looking good here in his playoff run here at the Roval. Just kind of biding his time. He's got that really loose number 96 just in front of him. Austin Reed, he's still struggling. He is dying to get to pit road once we get to the halfway mark.
Yeah, that tells me he was trying as hard as he could to try to keep up with Schumacher there. He was running in 2nd for so long and might have just overreached on those tires just a little bit. But you know, watching Jovi, this is kind of his MO as it's been this season. Ever since the opening race at Daytona, where he finished in 24th, he has not finished outside the top 15. Just real clean, real patient, that's been his story this season, and he's doing it again here with the 5th place run.
Always coming with the big stats, Brandon. That's why we keep you around, man. So yeah,
Well, there had to be a reason.
No, we keep you around for other reasons too, obviously. But man, Nathan De La Rosa around again, going through that bus stop. He's going to have to park it and lose even more time to the rest of the field here. A tough night for that 66 machine.
Yeah, and that's just one of those things. You start kind of compounding one on top of another, and it gets real mentally defeating out there to try to stay in that race and try to clear that mind out. I think what he needs to do at some point, and what anybody does if they've got a couple issues, you fall back a lap down, I would just bring it to pit road, get that car where you want it to feel comfortable again, and kind of get that mental reset.
Wow, Manning really fighting the handling here as he's got Balliet right on the bumper of that 50 machine, but hey, Manning holding strong here for JW. Wow, man, it's just unbelievable how loose these Xfinity cars are here.
Yeah, they are sliding all over the place. And I tell you what, we brought up like who the best road course racers have been. Jacob Manning doesn't get on that list because he had lap 1, turn 1 issues at Montreal that set him near the back of the pack, and he finished 2 laps down. But he did finish 4th in Watkins Glen. So a solid road course racer in his own right, trying to hold off the best of the best here in the series this season. This has been phenomenal racing here as we're just inching our way closer and closer to that pit window.
Yeah, and thought for sure right there Balliet was going to hop on that opportunity, but like we've seen through these first 20 laps, Manning not giving in whatsoever. He really gets through that final chicane really well there as he sets himself up to go through turn number 1. Taking a look further on back, Jovi Ray going for Austin Reedy here. Got real tight there going into turn 1.
Man, that's we've seen Austin cut a few breaks there for some guys, and I think Jovi just cut one big break there for Austin as he was about ready to drive right into the side of him and really backed out of that thing.
Checking in on Josh Siegfried, saw he had a little bit of an incident earlier. He's back to 18th now after running all the way up to P number 12. So the 60's starting to lose some time here on the rest of the field, and that starts to add a little bit of pressure, and that will kind of feed into you overdriving these cars when you're feeling that playoff pressure.
It can, especially when you look at 2 of the 3 cars that got around him are playoff drivers. You got Logan Truitt, you got Cole Martin. Cole, that's a great turnaround after we saw him around about 3 times in the first couple laps. He's now up to the 17th place, but a couple of those drivers in the playoffs making their way around him. That's where you start kind of getting in your head a little bit and just thinking like, man, I got to get around these guys, and maybe you start making some unforced errors trying to reach a little bit too far at this point in the run.
Yeah, getting by, we can kind of call Cole Martin a PVR affiliate. He practices with a lot of the guys over at Phoenix Virtual Racing, so just got by Jeremy Little and Josh Siegfried, and you're exactly right. Cole Martin is on a tear right now. It's not going to be probably the result he wants here tonight, but still kind of feasible to come away with a few more positions, maybe come away with a top 12 or maybe a top 14 here for too long. You get to the top 10 range, those guys are about 27 seconds ahead of him, so not really seeing that, but still maybe a few spots to gain for this 10.
Yeah, I mean, he's only about 8 seconds behind 14th place Devin Zimmerman, then only about 10 seconds up to 12th. I think you're right about that. I think that top 12 is still possible, but his margin for error is pretty much gone at this point. He's got to keep it clean the rest of the way.
And it kind of helps, too, that he's got a few guys behind him when it comes to playoffs. Josh Siegfried, who we just saw, Jeff Radke, Daniel Bowdler, all behind him. So that's going to help him out, but he's got to get by a few more. He's got Logan Truitt just in front of him in that 65 machine. He's got to get that spot. 65 is in the playoffs as well. A lot of these guys below the cut line are sitting back here further on back, and they're going to need a few spots.
And let's kind of cover that too. I mean, Logan Truitt, he fell to last place on turn 1 after getting caught on that infield portion of the heartburn turn there, and he's worked his way all the way back up to 15th, so that -4 since the start of the race, I would really consider that a plus 15 at this rate, because he did come all the way from the back here, and it's one of those things that we talked about earlier as we got Jack Johnson going through that bus stop chicane. Now Jeff Radke and a couple others coming down pit road, including Austin Reedy. You knew he was going to be one of the first ones to make that pit stop.
His teammate Kyle Benson coming down too. Both these guys running 5th and 6th here coming down pit road. So having a great night for Murray Reedy Motorsports. That team sitting in 4th place, trying to improve to make that top 2 spots to get that 3-race playoff there at the end of the season for that team championship. And Brandon, I know a lot of guys, including myself, take a lot of pride in that team championship. So a lot to race for here tonight, whether you're having a good night or not.
Yeah, absolutely. And we still got 6 teams really eligible. It's going to be 5 teams really eligible to make that jump and maybe still compete for that championship if all the cards fall right. At the very least, 6 that are still alive to get in that 3-4 matchup at worst. So there's still plenty out there. We still got, one thing that kind of gets brushed under the radar with the Lucky Dog battle here for this playoff spot. This also starts the Tier 2 championship as well. So a little bit of cash for those guys that don't make the playoffs or get eliminated in the first round.
So there's a look at the best times here of the race. And surprisingly enough, Adrian Schumacher not with the best lap here so far. Joshua Balliet, well, actually looking further down, Austin Reedy has the best time with a 122.70. So if you guys have that speed out there, but not nearly enough to run down Adrian. So that is a look at your best times so far. We'll go back to the gap here, and there you can see Jacob Manning is on pit road along with Jovi Ray.
Yeah, so Jacob and Jovi going to come down this time, and I wonder if anybody else is going to bite at this point. But I feel like it's going to be one of those things where if you kind of feel a little bit loose right now, you pit now, maybe change your style a little bit, get a little bit more conservative in the second half of this race. If you decide to come down a little bit later, that means you're feeling pretty good and maybe just going to be all right there to make that the shorter run and just maybe add a little bit more aggression. Or if you're comfortable where you are, keep that life in the tires to make some moves late.
Yeah, I think we're going to see Adrian stay out as long as he possibly can here and really have those fresh tires. He's got enough gap to where I don't even think these guys can get by him on an undercut strategy. So he is just going to pull away even more once he gets those 4 fresh tires and fuel in that 82 machine. And that's another thing to talk about too as the fuel load runs out. That's probably why we're seeing a lot of fishtailing too. These guys are kind of just a little bit loose here at the Roval.
Yeah, that car gets a little bit light in the back end, and a loose car gets even looser through that prospect of things. But you point out the undercut and what could be possible here. The fall off has been about 3 seconds as we see Josh Balliet come down pit road from 9 seconds back. About a 3-second fall off a lap right now for the race leader Schumacher from his fast lap to his current paces in the 125s.
Yeah, so he's not worried about it. I could say that confidently. He's not worried about that undercut strategy whatsoever. Logan Truitt picking up another spot though, going by Bo Tiffany. Logan already coming down pit road there on lap 21, so he's had those fresh tires for a little while now. Vincent Cortez coming down pit road, as well as Josh Susi in the 53 machine, and I believe we got another one coming down as well. Balliet is still on pit road. He's coming out right now.
He's coming out of the pits, and I think Austin Reedy might actually be getting by him with that little bit of an undercut. I saw that 96 in the background. He's going to come right behind him as Jovi Ray also in that mix, but Balliet just enough to stay in front of that 96 in the 24.
Yeah, Manning is well out ahead of Balliet, so Manning with a really good stop too. He has got, 3.5 seconds on Balliet, and they only pitted a lap apart.
Yeah, and that goes in line with that fall off. We were looking at about a 3-second fall off, and is that Chris Bishop in the 42?
Is.
That is. So he's sitting there. That's coming out of turn number 1. That's a difficult turn, really easy to make a mistake, especially if you're at the very end of the pit run where that car gets light, or even if you're just on cold tires, you can really overshoot that turn as the race leader on pit road.
And the funny thing about it is he's still the race leader. Nobody has yet to pass him. That's just the gap that he has on the rest of the field. Max Service, who's running second, 32 seconds behind him. So Max is he's going to come down pit road out now too.
Yeah, I was going to say there's not even a point in trying to make this an extra lap, because if he stays out one more lap, Manning would pass him to get that away.
It's going to be close. Manning's right there in the background coming through turn number 1, but not going to get there. And Adrian Schumacher could very well lead every lap of this race now.
My goodness, he's got a 2.5 second lead. Now this first lap for most drivers is going to be a little tricky because of these cold tires. This is one of the guys that I think is kind of immune to that. So I'm not too worried about that. And man, this is now, we're 70 laps into racing at in the Xfinity cars and SRN at this racetrack, the first race was 45 laps, every lap led by Daniel Bowler. This race, every lap led so far by Adrian Schumacher. So while the Roval promotes some good racing, not so much with the lead changes here in these two races we've had.
Yeah, so we'll ride on board just so you can kind of get a feel of just how loose it is on those cold tires, but Adrian not worried about it. You can see those white gloves not fighting the wheel too much. That's Lucas Lyons is going by there in the 48. That's going to put 19 cars left on the lead lap. The next one, Michael Larch, in line to go a lap down. He's currently on pit road, so I think it's safe to say that 82 going to go right on by him as well to leave 18 on the lead lap.
And as we ride through this final chicane, you can see how aggressive those turtles are. Really wants to launch the car. So we get slowed down into turn number 1. And this is, man, that's real smooth there. For as cold as those tires are, it looked like those things were well worn and had a lot of grip in them. So that's an amazing turn there as he works his way through this little inner loop, turns 3 and 4. And man, this is pretty textbook for what you're wanting to see working your way through this infield portion. We talk about all those undulations. It really picks up around here. You gotta get a little bit out of 2, but you can start seeing these hills start to develop through turns 5 and 6, especially coming down to the 7 and 8 Redneck Hill, as you called it earlier. And then we get back onto the more traditional side of things on the NASCAR oval.
Yeah, and the thing about it too is a lot of these tracks there, Charlotte has speedway lights that come on around the Christmas time, and they let us drive on the track. Driving on the Roval, I can tell you, it is a lot more of a decline there in elevation, and then you really let on here on iRacing. It is steep, and it really throws off the handling of these cars, makes you really feel like you're light going through that inner loop. But that's the lap there with Adrian Schumacher. You can kind of get a feel for this throttle input too, which is key to being smooth here at the Roval.
Oh yeah, that kind of gets lost in the sauce there a little bit. Everybody looks at the braking points. Everybody looks at the braking points and how you get around a road course, but it's really that throttle control. You can do a lot of trail braking. It's a little bit difficult in these cars, but you can still pull it off with enough practice. But really just knowing how to be on that throttle, how to feather that thing around turns, to use it to steer the car is what really separates the road course drivers that are really good from the ones that are either just good, average, or anywhere in there.
Yeah, so there's Austin Reedy. He's kind of settled in here back in 5th after holding on to 2nd there in the first portion of the race. He'll be happy if he can come away with a top 5. Next in line to maybe put a little pressure on him is going to be his teammate Kyle Benson, but he's 4 seconds back. So we don't really have too many battles happening right now on the track, so that gives us an opportunity, Brandon, to step aside and run a quick commercial break. Don't go anywhere.
Silverback Tax Solutions specializes in dealing with IRS tax problems. If you are receiving threatening letters from the IRS, or if the IRS has placed liens or levies on your property, Silverback Tax Solutions can help you find relief. We have worked with hundreds of people to resolve their tax problems. If you're behind on filing your taxes, it's never too late to get on the right track. Silverback Tax Solutions can help with that also. Don't let another night go by where you lose sleep worrying about the IRS or your taxes. Head over to www.silverbacktx.com or call 662-996-4357 and contact an enrolled agent today. We can help you gain peace of mind and deal with those problems for you.
Want to be a part of an established league on iRacing? A league that's competitive, fun, and above all fair? Look no further than Speed Racing Network. Originally known as Mid-South Madness, SRN has evolved into a league that can bring the best out in any given driver. Drivers work their way up through the ranks to hopefully one day call themselves a champion of Speed Racing Network. If you're interested in joining, don't hesitate to reach out to league admins to claim your spot today. Maybe you'll end up in the history books. If you're interested in becoming a sponsor in Speed Racing Network, feel free to head over to www.speedracingnetwork.com and reach out to an admin today. And as always, remember to go faster.
With the Butt Kicker Gamer 2, what you see and what you hear is what you feel. Butt Kicker. The future is feeling.
All right, back out here after that quick commercial break, and not much changing up front. Adrian Schumacher still out in front here with 17 laps to go for the Roval 100, putting Josh Siegfried a lap down. Now that's going to leave 16 drivers here on the lead lap. So he is obviously first in line as we go through. Let's give an update on the playoff lucky dog. Obviously, Adrian Schumacher in line to claim that playoff lucky dog out in front. Next in line would be Cody Neal. He's all the way back in 12th place, 54 seconds behind Adrian Schumacher. So he's got some work to do here if he's trying to make the playoffs here in Season 4's Silverback Series.
Yeah, there's a lot of work left there for Cody Neal, or maybe just a mistake from Adrian Schumacher is about all that's going to help there. But for Cody Neal, second in that lucky dog standing, you got to go another 11 seconds back to Jackson Wade, who's going to be sitting third in the lucky dog standings. Just one spot back on the racetrack, though, as he's locked in with a pretty good battle here with Logan Truitt and Cole Martin closing in. So this one might be, honestly, this might be the best race on the racetrack right now.
It is, and you know those two drivers behind them are hungry for more spots as they've had a little bit of a rough start, but have kind of made up a lot of ground here. Truitt up to 14th, Martin up to 15th, so they're trying to run down Jackson Wade right now. Wade doesn't want any of it as he's trying to get that playoff lucky dog as well. And Jeremy Little would be next in line. He's back in 16th, well off the pace. So we'll keep an eye on this battle here as there's not many other tight battles out there on the track. It looks like Logan Truitt really running down Jackson Wade, even though Jackson has 4-lap fresher tires here in the 69.
Yeah, this has been a real strong run for Logan Truitt, and this might be one of those ones where you just kind of look back at that first turn. I'm still not sure what exactly happened that led to him getting down onto the apron. Maybe just some contact, or just maybe everybody's just kind of diving down and getting 3-4 wide. Not uncommon here, and that's going to be one of those things that you look back at the end of this race and wonder what could have been with the way that he ran ever since that point.
This battle here for 11th. Wow, Logan Joyner gets into the wall a little bit there going around turn number 6. That's going to give Cody Neal maybe a look to the inside through 7 onto 8. Maybe touches the 9 a little bit. Logan Joyner does not want any of that after getting spun earlier by, I believe it was the 51 of Seth Reed. So Joyner already not having too fun tonight. He doesn't want to get spun again here.
Yeah, he's been spun. He got into the wall at one point, and that's a turn number 8, not where you want to be going side by side, getting onto that racetrack. It feels like you got a lot of speed, but you're coming out of that infield portion so aggressively. You hit that banking, and it just kind of wants to launch you up with the momentum that you're carrying. That car just gets real unstable, and so side by side there, very aggressive idea.
Well, I'm glad you said that word, momentum, because you need that here. If you, and seeing Cody Neal has crashed possibly. Cody Neal around in the 47 after we were just watching him go by Logan Joyner, so that's going to hurt his cause back to 12th. But to my point, I was going to go ahead and mention coming back out onto the oval is so important. You can't miss it because that is a long straightaway of just flat out on the gas. You could lose a lot of time if you don't nail that entry or exit onto 8.
Absolutely. Like everything in this infield portion, you can make a mistake, and as long as you stay on the racetrack, you just lose a little bit of time, and you can live to fight another day or even just another turn on that same lap. But if you kind of mess up going out of turn number 8 back onto NASCAR 1, or if you mess up coming out of that bus stop, that really kills the momentum. You're looking at not only a 10th or 2, but you're looking at possibly seconds worth of momentum lost out there if you really get out of line, as we watch a good 4-car battle for position right now. That first one in line, Jeff Radke, he's lapped, but everybody else in that shot right there, all racing for 12th position.
I always love seeing the Speed Channel sign on the exit of pit road. It kind of makes me feel really old, Brandon, because Speed Channel has not been around for, 10, 15 years now?
Oh, God, I didn't even think about how long it's been. But, yeah, that's definitely memory fuel right there, thinking about the old Speed Channel days. And oh, man.
Oh, I mean, I went to a Pink show one time. It was pretty awesome. I'm not going to lie. I miss the old Speed channel. They need to bring it back.
Yes, please. I know, Peacock does a pretty decent job of carrying a lot of racing, but man, I do miss the old
We got
Speed
plenty
channel.
of content for them. We'll
Yes.
We'll put Speed Racing Network on there. It's perfect. We got
Yes.
speed in the name. So
Speaking of speeds, I got a nice little race here side by side. This for second in the Lucky Dog race, and it's going to go to Jackson Wade. He's going to pick up 12th spot.
yeah, so Jackson, man, he's feeling good right there. He's got the fresher tires out of all four of these guys. Up to 12th, but still not in that Lucky Dog position just yet, and he is going to need a lot of help to do so. Logan Truitt going on by too now. Cody Neal, he's in some trouble after getting in that wreck there a few laps ago. It's not going away, though, fighting Logan Truitt here for 13th.
Yeah, and that tells me that's either going to be one of those things that's going on in the virtual helmet, where you're, into the wall trying to, that's about what I was getting ready to say. You're trying to do a little too much to make up for lost time after an error out there, or maybe just driving a little bit frustrated. The other part is maybe there's a little bit of damage that we just don't see, or those tires really got angry and they're still unsettled on them. But either way, really pushing that thing a little too hard at the moment.
Here's the battle for second here, Manning and Balliet. Balliet just to a half a second behind him, and you got the lap car of Zimmerman in front of him, giving the 50 a little bit of a draft here, helping him out down this back straightaway. Like I said, the speed here is important coming down the backstretch to the bus stop here. Devin Zimmerman probably going to go ahead, move out of the way through NASCAR 3 and 4 as they got a tight battle here for second.
Well, maybe not, at least going into 3, but still got a little bit of a gap of a couple tenths, but I'm sure Jacob Manning would like that, and there he goes. He's going to move out of the way going into turn coming out of NASCAR 4 into this final chicane and really get out of the way of everybody, and it's just a nice run here for Jacob Manning, staying in front of Josh Balliet. Balliet, we talk about it a lot here tonight, sweeping the first 2 road course races of the season, still sitting in 3rd, which is a great run, but still might not be quite what he was hoping for in this one.
Yeah, and at the end of the day, if you're Jacob Manning, you're happy about the way this race has gone. He's at the top of the board when it comes to those green names, and came into this race with the most points, and he's probably going to come out of this race with the most points among all the playoff drivers. So the 50 feeling good after winning that regular season championship. Our defending champion here in the Silverback Series, could he go back-to-back? Looking like he has a good chance so far.
And I tell you what, really, everybody above that cut line, minus Bowdler and Radke, are putting up a great points night right now. As you see, all of them up in that top 10 in the running order right now. The big winner out of all this is probably going to be Vincent Cortez. Max Service going to get a big jump as well. They're both running inside the top 10, and both around that cut line. Cortez 10 points behind it, but with the troubles for some of the guys up there with Bowdler and Radke, Cortez looking like he might be moving into that top 10.
Yeah, so that is definitely something to consider here. These guys that have had trouble, Bowdler is going to have a big hole to dig out of. And we're kind of wondering what the deal is, thinking Bowdler might have baby duty. Not sure for sure, but new baby in the house. He might have had to park that car on the road or pit road because he is still there. He's been there for 32 minutes, and that's not going to take that long to fix some suspension damage.
Contact back there with the 99 of Craig Lautenslager and the 53 of Josh Susie. Susie running in 8th place. Lautenslager was trying to stay out of the way as he was getting passed going into the bus stop, hit the turtle, and just could not get that thing settled back down and got clipped by the 53 of Susie.
So he did a pretty good job of saving it there. Susie heading on there. He's in 8th place up to from where he started. It's got Max Service, who's had a quiet but good night there in the 81 machine just behind him. So Max looking to maybe pick up a spot here, maybe 2 more spots, as he's got a few guys around him, Josh Susie and Vincent Cortez. So it's definitely considering maybe a top 7 here tonight. He's got 11 laps to do so.
Man, you talk about quiet but solid race. That's kind of the story for both of these guys right here, for both Susie and Service. That's just kind of been their thing all season long, just kind of lurking in there inside the top 10, especially once we get later into the later portions of races, and they just keep solid out there, and I just need to stop complimenting people. Service getting into the wall coming out of turn number 7.
So back to this battle here for second, the best battle on the track, and Manning has a lot of work to do here. 10 laps to go to hold on to this second position.
And as we watch this, an update that affects the Lucky Dog race, as Cody Neal was running third in that Lucky Dog, another issue out there, and actually disconnected from the race, so he's out.
Just went to look for him, and that's the camera I got. That means one thing. He is no longer in this session. So Adrian Schumacher out to a 12.6 second lead and just growing and growing. Putting Jeff Racky another lap down. 14 cars here on the lead lap. Logan Truitt next in line to go a lap down.
And I tell you what, if you're one of the Lucky Dog contenders, there's only one left on the lead lap aside from Adrian Schumacher, that being Jackson Wade, and he's only about 8 seconds ahead of Schumacher. And what that does, that's one fewer lap that Schumacher would have to worry about any kind of issue out there that would kind of hurt his chances. So instead of a 45-lap race for him, it'd be a 44-lap race with the rest of that Lucky Dog field.
Yeah, so coming in, we knew this might be the case here, and Adrian living up to the name there with the Schumacher name. So we'll go a little bit further back, check back in on this battle with Max Service and Josh Susie. Susie putting a little bit of distance between Service now, about 7 to 8 tenths of a second separating this 53 and 81.
Yeah, I think part of that was just that little wall scrape that we saw from Service. Lost a little momentum, maybe just needed about a lap or so to kind of get back into that smooth groove there. As we go back 1 or 2 spots farther, this is still a great race. This has been going on for about 10 laps now between Wade, Martin, and Truitt. That for 12th, 13th, and 15th, all still within a second of each other, as they've been pretty much this entire time since they came off pit road.
Yeah, Cole Martin got by Logan Truitt, it looks like, and he looks like he wants to pick up one more, but got into the wall there coming through 7 and 8. Like we said, we're going to see a lot here tonight. That 10 is all banged up. And Brandon, we got to consider one thing, too, here at road courses. Got to be careful with those incident points. We've seen a lot of guys getting a few incident points here tonight.
Yeah, and the saving grace here, and I'm sure some want it at a short track as well, but we do increase the incident count before you get that disqualification. At normal tracks on any oval, it's 17x. Here at the road courses, 25x, because there's more off tracks that are possible and more potential for issues out there to lose control and spin it, but not really be in any harm's way. So a little bit more leeway there, but this is a track that's very, very easy to pick up those incident points quickly.
And speaking of quickly, they're going to be having a mirror full quickly here of that 82 machine, who's not too far behind this 3-car pack battling for 12th. So Adrian could very well put just about 20 cars a lap down here tonight, leaving a top 10 on the lead lap. We'll see what the final numbers are here shortly, but they're going to be seeing that 82 here before too long. What do you do then?
That's a tough one, and I think you kind of go with what Logan Truitt does in this. I want to think that these guys will just kind of move to the side and kind of play nice there, but you got positions available, and for Cole Martin and Logan Truitt, you're both sitting there saying, like, all right, well, if we can pick up a spot here, being a little bit more aggressive, maybe get around Jackson or get around each other in the process, that could go a long way in this playoff race. So there's not going to be just that kind of easy go by here. Oh, wow, Josh Balliet in trouble.
Yeah. Balliet now bound 4th. That puts Jovi Ray up in 3rd. He gets by him, and now Balliet 5 seconds behind the 24. So losing a spot there for the 7.
Maybe
that point
2.
could be important.
Maybe another spot here, because Austin Reedy closing in quickly. He's within about a second of Josh Balliet. And Balliet through the chicane.
Misses the chicane.
That's going to be a penalty.
Yeah, not seeing him really let up here, so maybe he's just kind of letting off the gas. Sometimes you don't have to come to a complete stop. You just kind of got to give up some time here. And not sure you got a black flag.
iRacing typically will kind of dole out severity based on how bad you blow through that, but I'm wondering if because he clipped the turtles enough, maybe he didn't get it and just got a 1x or a 2x maybe. For going off track, I don't know, but yeah, that. If he didn't get a time penalty, that's a major break. And trouble! Jackson Wade and Jonathan Byer.
And seeming like the aggression and tension and a little bit of frustration coming out here, as those guys seem like they were a little bit unhappy with one another. Jonathan Byer, a lap down here. Jackson Wade on the lead lap. It's kind of frustrating there if you're Jackson Wade. So he is going to go ahead, get back on track. And he's going to assume 14th now after running in 12th place.
And that will pull him a little bit closer back to Jeremy Little, who's going to be third in the Lucky Dog race. So if anything were to happen to Schumacher, Jackson Wade, a little bit more of a challenge out here on the racetrack to try to hold off Little, who's just now into the bus stop. So it's about a 6-second differential, I'd say, between the two. But that's asking a lot to think that a problem might happen here for the 82 the rest of the way.
Yeah, so there's the 69 coming through the final chicane here. We're going to sit here for a little bit just to see everybody's run through the chicane. Everybody gets through here a little bit differently, but I think the one getting through there the best is probably the 50 of Jacob Manning. He is getting through there very smoothly.
Yeah, he looks really calm through that. And tell you what, like all these cars, just they seem like they're getting a little bit loose in that first turn, and then recovering pretty nicely there and doing a good job of staying off that second set of turtles out of turn 17. And that's important. You really want to get that good launch out of 17. You can kind of clip those turtles in turn 16 there, but that second batch, that'll really throw off your pace coming out of that and into turn 1.
Yeah, really, it throws the balance off in that car, and it can really get you loose. We've seen a few guys get into the wall there on the exit of 17, and not what you want to do coming to turn number 1. So 6 laps to go here. This is the battle for 8th place. Vincent Cortez trying to hang on, holding off his teammate Max Service. Tank Racing having a good night so far. 1st, 4th, 8th, and 9th right now. So Tank really showing up here tonight.
Yeah, they absolutely are. This has been a tremendous run for them, and it was Susie and Service that were racing each other. Oh, real big slide there, doing a great job keeping it off his teammate Max Service, but that might cost Vincent Cortez the position. Maybe not. Service kind of giving him some leeway there, and I think that's teammates working together. But if it was anybody else out there, I think that would have been a bad spot for Vincent Cortez.
Yeah, you getting back through turn number 8, you can get a really good undercut coming back out onto the NASCAR oval. So Vincent really nailed that, put the gap back between him and the 81. But the 81 maybe has the better car right now. He's got a lot fresher tires, but that really shouldn't put too much of a difference. I just feel like he's getting through here a little bit smoother than Cortez here with 5 laps to go.
Yeah, and that's kind of one of those old adages, you know, slow is smooth, smooth is fast. I think that's kind of been the story here. That 81 just looking real smooth for so long in this race. We've only seen maybe 1 or 2 bobbles anytime we've seen him out on the racetrack. And this is what I was talking about at the start of the race. Just keep the car clean, and you're going to get a good result. And that's what we're seeing here with these guys that are kind of on the outskirts of that top 10, that are putting together a really good run. They might not have the blinding speed of a Schumacher or even a Manning or Ray right now here in this race, but they're putting together solid results that are going to go a long way the rest of this playoff round.
Yeah, so this is definitely the best battle on the track right now. The two teammates going head-to-head. And I'm curious to see when Vincent Cortez breaks into that win column here this year. When he was running here in Season 2, had a fantastic season, one of the championship contenders with me and a few other guys, and ultimately Adrian Schumacher winning the championship that year. But Vincent can really put that car in victory lane easily. So surprising. That says a lot about this Silverback Tax Series if the 23 has yet to park that car in victory lane.
Yeah, and we've seen him have success for a few seasons now, and I know that there's been some, distractions there that have kind of pulled him away, or was about to pull him away from the entire series the rest of the season before, I guess, that all cleared up, whatever was going on there. But so maybe there's just some things in the way, but still solid runs most of the time out here for this 23 car, and I can tell you firsthand, battling him.
Ooh, this is tough.
Oh,
they made contact. This is Jimmy Johnson and Martin Truex Jr. all over again. Cortez is going to lose a couple spots. Seth Reed gets by him too. He's going to try and salvage 10th because Logan Joyner well behind him, so might still be a top 10 for Cortez. Sorry, I cut you off there.
No, that seems to be the trend. I give a compliment, and all of a sudden something goes wrong out there. So I'm not going to say any more compliments for anybody. I'm just going to say,
already said that.
I agree with you that I thought a win was coming already for the 23s, but he's got the talent to do so, that's for sure.
Yeah, he's one of the younger drivers here in the series. Has a lot going for him as a young man. So, hey, he was thinking about stepping away, but once he got a whiff of those playoffs, he's like, I'm here to stay, and he's still running top 10 in that 23. Might be able to get a good run in the top 10 here tonight. So Adrian Schumacher, 3 laps to go. There's that blinking again.
Oh my, and you know that the admins are saying he's got a lap on everybody else in this lucky dog, but
Yeah.
at some point you gotta say something. I don't know if there's been a warning or anything that has been issued. If not, they might just be given some leeway with the size of the lead that he has and just kind of working with the gaps that he's had aside from when he's been in lap traffic, so there might be a little wiggle room there.
Yeah, so I can't even keep the camera on him. It just will flicker. So we're going to follow Jacob Manning here for a little bit, as there is really no battles on the track. The closest one being Max Service and Seth Reed here, the battle for 8th.
Yeah, and this has just been solid. A couple guys that, that just patient races all night long, and it really fits their style. Oh man, big slide there coming out of turn 1 for Max Service. That's going to pull Seth Reed right up to that back bumper as they start their 3 to go, and Service all over the place.
Yeah, that car is not feeling good after we were saying he was looking so smooth. He looks like he can barely drive that thing now with how hot those tires are.
And this track, it can turn a car against you in a hurry, and I think that's what we're seeing there in that 81, and maybe just that pressure in the mirror of trying to hold off Seth Reed for that extra spot as well. Picking up that point, it might do a little mirror driving and kind of throw you off a little bit.
So we got Ray, Reedy, Reed all in the top 8, but not in a line here in the top 3. Those 3 drivers have had a great season so far and not really up to speed here with Schumacher, who is coming back down the back stretch. Actually, he's going to be exiting the inner loop here shortly, but slowly, surely coming back to 1 lap to go here before too long. This thing's going to be wrapped up, and we're going to be on to race number 2 next week.
Well, not next week. Remember, we got that week off.
Valentine's Day.
Yeah, got to protect the relationships of some drivers that do have them here in the series. For those like me, we just call it Tuesday. We got the week off at least to get ready for the Cup and the trucks that go to road courses. For these guys, they get to go back to an oval at least, so they get to practice there.
Call it Tuesday. I wasn't ready for that. That's pretty funny. But yeah, they'll go to Phoenix in race 2, and Phoenix, one of my favorite tracks, one of my favorite cities. I'm just going to say it like that. I think it's going to promote a great race here for the second race of round number 1, and it's really going to be a situation where we're going to have a lot of guys trying to dig themselves out of a steep hole. And I'm looking right now at that 6 of Daniel Bowdler with 1 lap to go here for Schumacher.
And as we follow Adrian Schumacher, one thing we can say, congratulations on the lucky dog, is he's got a lap over the rest of the field. So even if anything goes wrong, worst he can do is 11th place now in this race. So he will lock up that lucky dog. So this one, now it's just added gravy, added bonus points. He's going to get max points. Now he won't get the bonus points that the top 15 got for their regular season positioning, but all the other bonus points from this regular season and tonight's race will carry over. And that 82 going to be in a really good spot going into race number 2.
Yeah, he's won a championship in season 2 here in the Xfinity Series, now the Silverback Series, and he's going to be going for it again here. Just a few more turns for the 82, and he'll be well above that cut line, I think, with the amount of points he gets here tonight and the struggles of a few drivers out there. I think heading to Phoenix, the 82 is going to be feeling pretty good about his chances to move on to that round of 10.
And I tell you what, Phoenix, not a bad track for a road course racer either. It's got that awkward flatness to it. It's got some lines that can kind of mess with the handling of car. Road course drivers typically do pretty well there.
So just a few more turns, pretty much just the final chicane to go for the 82 machine. And there you see Barney waving the flag. And here comes the 82, last turn. And he's a winner here at the Roval 100.
Every now and then you can say that the obvious thing was kind of the thing that plays out. That's pretty much what happened here. You get to a road course in that lucky dog battle, Adrian Schumacher. Whoa, hello, Jacob
Little Chase
Manning.
Elliott right there.
Doing that with Jovi Ray right behind him, too. That one wound up a little bit closer than I think maybe he thought there. But Josh Balliet and Austin Reedy looking like they're going to round up that top 5. But, yeah, as expected here tonight, a great night for Adrian Schumacher, the favorite to get that lucky dog on a road course, and he definitely delivered.
I'm just going to sit here because, Brandon, looking at this, my arm is tired right now watching the rest of the field come around. This man's getting some work in.
He's got some headbang in there, too, so get him at a metal show, and he'll fit in pretty nicely in the mosh pit.
So watching the rest, I mean, we've only had the top 7 finish here, and obviously a lot of the lap drivers have finished. There's Seth Reed coming home at 8th, Max Service in ninth. And there you see Vincent Cortez hitting the 16 and 17th turn, and he will round out the top 10 here tonight. So Adrian Schumacher gets it done in that 82 machine. He's your winner and your playoff lucky dog here as he comes back around NASCAR 3 and 4. He's going to be feeling like he might want to celebrate here.
He's got plenty to celebrate, and we talk about how there's some drivers that we're a little surprised haven't notched a victory on the season. And yes, Adrian does have a Cup win at the road course in Chicago earlier this season, but man, I mean, you get to 3 road courses in one discipline of the series here in the Xfinity cars. And this is his first Xfinity win of the season. It took all the way up until this point, but finally gets it done, and gets it done in probably the biggest road course race of the season.
Yeah, so I mean, we know he was probably going to be the favorite coming into here, but you got to put the pencil or pen to paper and make it happen, and he did just that. He got all 45 laps led here tonight, and he won by 16 seconds, Brandon. So a healthy margin between him and Jacob Manning. Put it on the field here tonight and gets that playoff lucky dog. I'm not going to use the word gets. I'm going to use the word earned that playoff lucky dog here tonight.
Yeah, there's absolutely no question about that. You win a race here. It is a very, very challenging road course. It's a very physical road course, easily the toughest one that these guys are going to have all season long in terms of the toughness of what you have to do to win a race here. So that is a well-earned victory and a well-earned playoff spot.
So let's bring up the results here tonight. There you see it, Adrian Schumacher at the top of the board, Jacob Manning and Jovi Ray. That's going to be our podium here for race 14 in the Silverback Tax Series. Joshua Balliet and Austin Reedy going to round out the top 5.
In 6th place, it'll be Kyle Benson. Josh Susi will finish in 7th. Seth Reed will finish in position number 8, just ahead of Max Service, who will be in 9th. Vincent Cortez rounds out the top 10.
Yep, Logan Joyner comes home 11th. Cole Martin 12th. He really made up a lot of spots along with Logan Truitt there in 13th. Jackson Wade in 14th, but your biggest mover of the night going to be right there in 15th. Josh Siegfried, they're up 11 spots from where he started.
And Devin Zimmerman will be in position number 16. 17th will go to Jeremy Little. 18th for Michael Larch. Craig Lautenslager will finish in 19th. And Bo Tiffany will round out the top 20 and also be the last one lap down to the other 10, multiple laps down at the end of this race.
So there you see, that's your top 20 here tonight. Let's go ahead, get to the interviews, and I love it when they're in the broadcast waiting room. Jovi Ray's sitting there. Let's bring him on up here and speak to the man finishing in 3rd place here tonight. Jovi, welcome to the booth. You got Greg Olenek, Brandon Domain up here. Tell us about your race here tonight. Just smooth, it looked like you're just kind of just picking your spots up where you could.
Yeah, I was just on cruise control most of the time until the end. I couldn't really catch Jacob, but I wasn't expecting a P3. I'll take it.
Well, that's a big run, especially with, every series here in SRN does have a road course in this opening round, but everybody in the Silverback Tax Series, they get that road course out of the way, and now you get 2 ovals to close out this opening round. How much does it mean to get that P3 to start it here at a road course and then get more into that oval side after it?
It's amazing to get this many points from the road course because now I'm probably going into 2 of my best tracks. I'd say Texas is my best. So now it's just honestly just finishing and get into the next round and hopefully get into the championship round.
Jovi, I don't mean to remind you about the whooping I put on you at Texas, but I might have to sign up for that race. No, I'm just playing. I'm looking forward to seeing what you could do out there. Not as much pressure as the last time we were both racing at Texas. That was a championship race, but now this one to move on to the round of 10. But man, tell me, who you got to thank out there after a long night here at the Roval?
If you show up at Texas, I'm all there for it, or falling asleep behind the wheel. But shout out to the boys back at PVR as per usual. Shout out to Joshua, Jeremy, Bowdler, and Logan. Always fun racing with them. Shout out to Kenny Warrior Raps for this amazing paint job. Shout out to you guys for always doing this amazing broadcast, and it's pretty good back-to-back weeks in the broadcast booth.
Hell yeah, man. So we look forward to seeing up here, and maybe we'll see you again at Phoenix, but maybe we'll see you in Victory Lane.
Hopefully. Have a good night, guys. Thanks again.
Take care, buddy. All right, so that was Jovi Ray coming home P3. You could tell he was feeling pretty good about himself. Not a lot of expectations coming into this race, but hey, move up one spot at a time. You end up on the podium. That's a good night. So let's go ahead and move on to P number 2 here. Jacob Manning joining us here in the booth. Jacob, Greg Olenek, Brandon Domain, welcome. Tell us about your race here. We watched you on board for quite a bit. Man, you were getting that thing real loose, but you still come home in second. Tell us about your night.
Oh man, I'll be honest. I completely forgot you guys were gonna pull me up here. I was getting ready to leave and get out of here. Man, it was fun. That's probably the most confident I've ever felt at a road course in a long time, at least. And I felt like I had it. Felt like I could hopefully give Ballier and Schumacher a run for their money tonight. And then it turns out it was Reedy up there I was battling with for a while, and then just like I thought, I was battling with Ballier, but man, it was a ton of fun. When he got to me, I had used up my tires, and I just had to do everything in my power to keep him behind me, and that made me use them even more. So it was just continuous, corner after corner getting loose, and man, it was a ton of fun. It was awesome racing with him. I don't think I've gotten racing very much this season, but tell you what, Schumacher, man, he was on a different level. Once he got out there, he didn't look back. He went. So man, good for that guy. It's a great win by him.
And it's a great result for you also with that second place, obviously coming in with the points lead after the regular season championship. And we get to Phoenix and Texas after we get the week off here. So what are you looking forward to with those two tracks getting back to the oval side?
I feel very confident with Phoenix. It's probably one of my best tracks. I don't know what I have there. I just have something figured out, and I like that a lot. Unfortunately, I didn't get to show that last season, but hopefully I can get some redemption this time around and get that all figured out. But like I always say, taking it one week at a time. Not worried about those other ones. I'll get there when I get there, and we'll see what we do. So, pretty much, yeah, that's it.
Well, you're on your way to possibly becoming the first ever Speed Racing Network back-to-back champion in all 3 divisions. So a great start to your playoff campaign. But before we let you go, Jacob, you got any friends, any family, any sponsors you want to give a quick shout out to?
Oh, you already know, man. So, of course, we got Rogue Energy with the 10% off code JW Racing. I got Cody Williams Designs giving me this brand new this week sweet scheme. Gonna make a few changes to it. Had to get it ready, put the banners on and everything, but it looks sick out there. It looks a lot better than the old Mickey D's car I was just running. So, thanks to him. All the other sponsors, everybody who makes this possible, you guys, the admins, and of course Justin Rideout. And then I can't forget Betsy, our number one JW Racing fan. Betsy's the GOAT.
All right, Jacob. Well, congratulations on a great run here to start your playoffs. We're going to let you go and celebrate with the teammates. Looks like you guys had a good night out there as far as the team standings go. So have a good night. We'll see you in 2 weeks out at Phoenix.
Y'all too. Thank you.
All right, so that was Jacob Manning coming home second. That means we got one more man to talk to, and that's the man of the hour. So let's go ahead and bring Adrian Schumacher on up to the booth. Adrian, welcome to the SRN booth. It's Greg Olenek and Brandon Domain. No surprise to see you up here. We didn't want to, take the low-hanging fruit, but, man, you are an ace when it comes to the Roval, and you put it on him here tonight. Tell us, how's it feel to possibly go for your second championship here in the Silverback Series?
Got to. Yeah, it feels great. I had to come up clutch today. I think led all laps, fastest lap, no incidents. It was a drive.
It absolutely was. It was a dominant performance, max points on the way. And, I think everybody kind of knew that when you were in that lucky dog group, we started at a road course, that you were going to be the favorite. And I've never been the favorite to win a race, so I got to ask this one. What is it like going into a race where everybody's looking at you, not only for the lucky dog, also for the race win, and absolutely have to step up and deliver in that situation?
Yeah, gives me a load of confidence, but just gotta stay cool about it.
Well, you certainly did, and like you said, you led every lap here tonight, put the best lap out there, so you got a few bonus points to say the least. Not sure, did you even get an incident point?
No.
All right, so another bonus point as far as that goes. I think you're going to set yourself up for max points here tonight and a good start to your playoffs. I think you're going to be starting off above that cut line, so that's got to be taking the pressure off as we head to Phoenix next week. How you feeling about that race?
Well, we go back to ovals, so it's just going to be mid-pack. But I did get new internet, though, so it seems like I haven't been lagging. It seems like that was the fix, so hopefully we can fight.
Well, before we get to Phoenix and wrap up tonight, you got any friends, any family, any sponsors you want to give a quick shout out to, too?
Yeah, sure. Hold on. Where are you?
Oh, he's got a list. This man's got a list, Brandon.
All right. Hunterton, Anesthesia Associates, Healthcare Billing, 213 Simware, Invader Zim Designs, RJ Bishop Designs, Berg Arts Designs, Tank Racing, all my teammates at Tank Racing, and you guys for broadcasting, and my parents and grandma for always having to sit through these things.
Well, we certainly appreciate them sitting here and watching you just dominate here tonight. I'm sure they loved every minute of it, but we're going to send you back down to your teammates. You guys had a great night as far as the team standings go, so you guys got a little bit of celebration to take part of here with the 2-week break before we go to Phoenix. Have a good night, man.
Hey, you guys too.
So, Brandon, that wraps it up here at the Roval. Adrian Schumacher is our playoff lucky dog, and we take a week off here before we move on to the second race of round number 1 for all 3 divisions, and there's a lot to be had when it comes to the races next week. We got 2 weeks. We got 2 road courses with the Red Bull Ring for the Cup guys. I know you're very excited about that, Brandon, and Mid-Ohio for the trucks, and I'm not excited about that. So we'll see how that goes, and then these guys are going to get out to Phoenix in 2 weeks' time. So a very pivotal race for a lot of these guys battling for that championship. You got to not lose too much. If you don't like road courses, you got a lot of time to practice.
Yeah, absolutely. And you might not be excited about Mid-Ohio. I'm excited to broadcast that one and watch how that plays out. Mid-Ohio, a real fun track with those trucks. It just drives really well. A lot of an undulating surface, like we were talking about with the infield side today, that might catch some people. But aside from that, really good racing there. But yeah, as far as the Cup side, getting to the Red Bull Ring, that's going to be a first time ever for SRN, also for Mid-Ohio also. But yeah, just real exciting to see how that plays out. I think of any European circuit, that's probably the one that's the best designed for stock car racing, and I hope we put on a good show.
Absolutely. So we will see you all in 2 weeks' time. Make sure you don't forget Valentine's Day, or Tuesday, like Brandon called it, in next week. And we'll see you guys here in 2 weeks. But for everybody here behind the scenes, myself, Brandon Domain, Sean Griffith, Jason Tripp, and all the drivers here at SRN, we wish you guys a good night and go fast.